Have you ever stopped to wonder why, even though you're a good person, it sometimes feels like the world doesn't reward you? Maybe you help others, you're honest, and you follow the rules, but things still don't seem to work out. That's the starting point of this content. Goodness and virtue on their own aren't enough to succeed or survive in a world that, whether we like it or not, is selfish, unpredictable, and often cruel. It's not that being good is wrong, but believing it's sufficient can be a dangerous mistake. Helping us understand this is Niccolo Machiavelli, a 16th century Italian thinker who wrote The Prince, a famous book about how leaders should act to gain power and security. He didn't say goodness was useless, but that it needed something more: intelligence, strategy, and a realistic view of how people actually are. Machiavelli looked at the world as it is, not as we'd like it to be. And what did he see? That people aren't always fair, that they often think only of themselves, and that if you don't know how to protect yourself, you'll end up being used or ignored. How many times have you done something kind for someone and, instead of gratitude, received indifference or even a pat on the back as if it were your duty? This happens because the world doesn't run on good intentions alone. Being good is beautiful, but without strategy, it's like entering a game without knowing the rules. You might have the best heart, but if you don't know how to play, others will walk all over you. The idea here isn't to convince you to become cold or selfish, not at all. It's to show you that goodness can be stronger when paired with cunning. That ability to think before acting, to understand the people around you, and to use your virtue in a way that protects you and takes you further. Machiavelli said, "A man who wants to be good all the time ends up ruined among so many who are not good." He wasn't being pessimistic, just practical. The world has wolves, and lambs need to learn how to defend themselves. So, what we're going to do here is explore why just being good doesn't work, how naivety can bring you down, and most importantly, how you can be a virtuous person without becoming an easy target. We'll take Machiavelli's ideas and turn them into something you can use every day, at work, in friendships, or in any situation. Ready to see the world in a new way and stop being its victim. The world isn't a fair place. It might sound harsh to say that, but it's the reality Machiavelli saw so clearly. In The Prince, he wrote, "Men are so simple and so driven by their present needs that he who deceives will always find someone willing to be deceived." What did he mean? That people often act based on what's easiest or most convenient for them, and if you don't see that, you become prey. It's like the world is a jungle. Yes, there's beauty, but there are also predators. And if you're just admiring the flowers, you won't see the wolf coming. Think of a common situation. Have you ever lent something to someone who promised to return it, but never did? Or done a favor thinking they'd appreciate you, only to have them ignore you afterward? This happens because naivety, believing everyone will treat you the way you treat them, is a trap. Machiavelli knew human nature is selfish and unpredictable. Not everyone is like that all the time, of course, but many will take advantage of your goodness if you don't watch your step. A perfect example comes from Victor Hugo's Les Misérables. Jean Valjean is a good guy who wants to do the right thing, but early in the story, he suffers a lot because of a cruel world that doesn't make room for someone with only good intentions. He only starts to survive and thrive when he learns to be clever, to hide when necessary, and to choose wisely who to trust. He doesn't stop being good. He stops being naive. Now think about your own life. How many times have you felt someone took advantage of you because you trusted too much? Maybe at work, a colleague took credit for something you did, or a friend used your help without ever giving back. That's not bad luck. It's the result of playing by the wrong rules. We grow up hearing, "Good always wins," but in practice, those who adapt come out on top. Machiavelli wasn't telling you to become bad, but to open your eyes. Not everyone is your friend, and many will smile at you while planning to use you. Naivety is dangerous because it leaves you vulnerable. It's like walking blindfolded down a busy street. You might have good intentions, but that won't save you from getting hit. So, the first step is accepting that the world has its own rules, and they're not always fair. Only then can you start protecting yourself and making your goodness count. Being good is great, but without strategic intelligence, that goodness becomes a burden. Machiavelli explains this well in The Prince when he says, "A prince must imitate the fox and the lion, for the lion cannot protect itself from traps, and the fox cannot defend itself from wolves." The meaning is simple. You need strength, yes, but also cunning. The lion is powerful, but falls into traps because it doesn't think. The fox is weak, but escapes danger by being clever. Combining the two is the key. Think of George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. Ned Stark is a classic example of someone full of virtue but lacking strategy. He's honest, loyal, and wants to do the right thing, but he dies because he doesn't understand the dirty game around him. Meanwhile, characters like Tyrion Lannister survive and even thrive because they know when to speak, when to stay quiet, and how to turn situations in their favor. The difference lies in strategic intelligence. Ned relied on his goodness. Tyrion used his mind. This applies to everyday life too. Imagine you're at work, always doing more than asked, but no one notices. Why? Because you're not showing your value in a smart way. Being good at what you do is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to position yourself, how to make others see your worth. Machiavelli wasn't telling you to lie or cheat, but to understand the game and play it well. For example, if you want to help someone, fine, but do it in a way that benefits you too. Instead of giving everything for free, maybe ask for something in return, not out of selfishness, but to build mutual respect. It's like planting a seed. You nurture it, but you also expect to harvest something later. Without that perspective, your goodness becomes a gift others take and walk away with. Strategic intelligence is like a shield for your virtue. It helps you see who deserves your trust, when it's worth taking a risk, and when it's better to step back. It's not about becoming cold and calculating, but about protecting what's good in you. Machiavelli said the world is full of traps, and the only way to avoid them is to keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. So, next time you're about to act out of kindness, ask yourself, how can I do this in a way that strengthens me too? That's the difference between being a target and being a player. Have you ever lost your temper with someone and regretted it later? That shows how emotions can bring you down if you don't control them. Machiavelli knew this and wrote in The Prince, "Men offend those they love more than those they fear." He meant that seeking love or reacting impulsively often makes you weak, while staying in control gives you power. It's not about feeling nothing, but about choosing how and when to show what you feel. Think of Alexandre Dumas, the Count of Monte Cristo. Edmond Dantes starts off impulsive, but after being betrayed, he learns to hide his anger and plan each step calmly. He becomes a master of emotional control, and that's what makes him powerful. While his enemies shout and despair, he stays quiet, observes, and acts at the right moment. The result? He earns respect and revenge without ever seeming weak. In real life, this is more common than you think. How many times have you seen someone blow up in an argument and lose all credibility? Or maybe you've reacted too quickly to a provocation and later realized the other person came out on top. When you lose control, you hand power to whoever provoked you. Machiavelli understood that emotions are like a wild horse. If you don't hold the reins, it'll take you where you don't want to go. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean becoming a rock. It means taking a deep breath, thinking before you speak, and choosing how to respond. For instance, if someone criticizes you at work, instead of defending yourself right away, you could smile, say something brief, and then prove your worth with actions. That throws off your attacker and makes you look stronger. It's what Machiavelli called acting with coldness and calculation, not because you don't feel, but because you decide what to show. Power comes from being unpredictable and calm while others lose it. Think of a boss who never raises their voice but commands everyone's respect. Why? Because they don't give away their game. Next time you feel your blood boiling, remember, the one who stays quiet and thinks wins more than the one who yells and reacts. That's how you turn your goodness into something that demands respect, not pity. What others think of you matters more than you might realize, Machiavelli said in The Prince. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few feel what you really are. It's not about being fake, but about understanding that people judge by appearances, by the image you project. If you seem weak, they'll treat you as weak, even if you have a heart of gold. If you seem strong, they'll respect you, even if you're unsure inside. A perfect example is Don Corleone from Mario Puzo's The Godfather. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, everyone listens. He uses silence as a weapon. He keeps others guessing, maintains mystery. That creates a perception of power. No one knows everything he's thinking or planning, and that's exactly what makes him feared and respected. Machiavelli would agree. A prince must know how to hide his true intentions. It's not lying. It's controlling what you reveal. In your own life, have you noticed how people who say little seem more intriguing? Or how someone who doesn't constantly explain themselves gets more attention? That's the power of silence. If you spill everything, you become an open book, easy to read, easy to ignore. But if you leave some things unsaid, people start to see you differently. For example, if someone at work asks you something personal, instead of spilling your life story, you could give a short answer and change the subject. That gives you an air of confidence and control. Managing perception is like driving a car. You choose where to go and how to get there. Want to be seen as reliable? Show it with actions, not promises. Want to avoid being used? Don't always be available. Machiavelli said image is everything because people don't have the time or patience to figure out who you really are. They go by what they see. So try this. Talk less, observe more. If someone provokes you, don't respond right away. Let silence speak for you. Your goodness doesn't need to be shouted to the world. It gains strength when paired with an image of authority. That's how you turn something simple, like staying quiet, into a powerful tool to protect yourself and grow. Waiting can be stronger than rushing. Machiavelli said in The Prince, "Fortune favors the bold, but only those who know how to adapt to circumstances." This means power isn't about acting fast all the time, but about knowing the right moment to move your pieces. And along with that patience comes unpredictability, not letting others guess your next step. Think of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Darcy doesn't win Elizabeth over right away with obvious gestures. He waits, watches, and acts in ways no one expects, like secretly helping her family. That makes him unpredictable and ultimately powerful in her eyes. If he'd chased her from the start, he'd have seemed desperate, not strong. His patience made the difference. In real life, we see this too. How many times have you rushed to fix something and ended up making it worse? Or seen someone who planned every step and got what they wanted without fanfare? Machiavelli understood the world is like a chessboard. Those who think before they move win. Patience is like a hunter waiting for prey. He doesn't shoot right away, but when he does, he hits the mark. And unpredictability? It protects you. If everyone knows how you'll react, it's easy to manipulate you. But if you switch things up, sometimes giving in, sometimes standing firm, sometimes staying quiet, no one knows what to expect. For example, if someone always asks you for favors and you say yes every time, it becomes routine. But if one day you say no without explaining, that person starts to look at you more carefully. Combining patience and unpredictability with goodness is brilliant. You can help someone, but you don't have to do it the moment they ask. Wait for a time when your gesture has more impact. Machiavelli didn't want you to be cruel, but to be smart. So, next time you feel the urge to act right away, stop, breathe, and ask, what's the best moment for this? That way, your virtue becomes a weapon no one sees coming. Here's the main point. You don't need to abandon your goodness, but you do need to protect it with cunning. Machiavelli sums it up in The Prince by saying, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." It's not about becoming a villain, but about realizing the world doesn't value those who are only good. It respects those who are good and clever at the same time. The solution is practical. Blend your virtue with strategy, control, and patience to stop being a victim and start shaping your path. Think about everything we've covered. Naivety leaves you vulnerable, but strategic intelligence gives you a shield. Emotional outbursts hand power to others, but mastering your feelings makes you strong. Talking too much exposes you, but silence gives you mystery. Acting without thinking brings you down, but waiting for the right moment lifts you up. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about using what you already have more wisely. How do you do this in practice? Start small. If someone provokes you, don't react right away. Breathe, smile, and respond later, calmly. If they ask you for something, don't say yes immediately. Consider if it's worth it and how it could benefit you too. At work, don't show all your effort at once. Let people discover your value gradually. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach evil, but to show how to survive. He wanted you to be a player, not a pawn. A real-life example: imagine you always help a friend, but they never thank you. Instead of keeping it up, try saying no once, without much explanation. They'll be surprised and start valuing you more. Or at work, If you do something amazing, don't rush to tell everyone. Let them notice it on their own. That builds respect. The big shift is this. Stop expecting the world to be fair and start playing by the rules it actually has. Be good, but not naive. Help, but with purpose. Speak, but with care. Machiavelli gives you the map. Now it's up to you. Do you want to be remembered as someone who just existed or someone who left their mark? The choice is yours, but if you choose to act, start today with small, quiet, smart steps. That's how your goodness stops being a weakness and becomes a force no one can ignore.